So we're here and we're looking at a wave. And I'm going to show you and talk to you about how to identify different parts of a wave. So if we're looking at these peaks to waves, these peaks, these upper portions, the highest elevated point on a wave, those are called crest. So the highest point on a wave is called a crest. You'll see this wave that I have drawn has two crests. Now we can talk about the lowest point on a wave. That's the minimum if we were talking math terms, and that's called the trough. Now we do have these middle points. Now the point exactly in the middle of our wave is called the equilibrium. You'll note that in this one, so there's five of them, and this is the middlemost point on a wave. So let's talk about another feature about waves, and that's wavelength. How long one wave is. And a wavelength, maybe if you don't want to write out wavelength every single time, you could write the term lambda, which means wavelength. It's this like backwards H kind of thing. And we can find lambda by measuring the distance between two crests. So in this case, the distance between these two crests is 12.5 meters. Now there's other ways to measure wavelength as well. So let's look at another way. If I'm looking at equilibriums, so all of my equilibriums are in green, I can measure the wavelength by going from one equilibrium, skip one, to the other equilibrium. So from every other equilibrium, we can find wavelength. And you can see I label it here. In this case, if you did that equilibrium to every other equilibrium, the wavelength would also be 12.5 meters. It doesn't even matter which equilibriums you use. If we go from this equilibrium, skip one, the next equilibrium, still 12.5. Same thing here. It doesn't matter as long as it's every other equilibrium. And then we can look at the trough rule. So here's my troughs, and the distance from one trough to the next trough is considered wavelength. Again, this is going to give us 12.5. So no matter which rule we use, we're always going to get 12.5 meters for the wavelength. So here are all the rules. You may want to pause the video and fill this into your packet.